Before we begin talking about homesickness, you might have noticed that this video is a fundraiser for the UNHCR, also known as the UN Refugee Agency. As I'm sure you all know, on Thursday, February 24th, Russia began invading Ukraine, resulting in over 500,000 Ukrainians fleeing their homes in search of asylum in neighboring countries. Right now, countless lives are being torn apart, so I ask you to please donate to the UN Refugee Agency as it works to provide aid and protection not only to Ukrainians who have already fled Ukraine, but also to those who are still in the country. If you would like to learn more about how the UNHCR supports refugees, please check out the link in the description box. And if you are a fellow YouTube creator with over 10,000 subscribers, I encourage you to add this fundraiser to your upcoming videos. Thank you.
Oof. Okay. Hi. Hello. How are you doing? I guess I should do the intro, right? Because sometimes I get comments when I don't do the intro, saying that my video feels incomplete because I didn't do the intro, which I guess I get that. So let's do the intro. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. Hey you. It's Natalia, and today we are talking about homesickness, loneliness, just being apart or being away from your family for an extended amount of time, you know, whenever you choose to live abroad or study abroad or just be abroad for an extended amount of time. So I've actually talked or touched on these topics quite a few times on Instagram, but I've never brought that conversation to YouTube, which is kind of funny because the majority of you guys follow me on YouTube, not on Instagram. So I thought it was finally time to bring that conversation here. So yeah, let's talk about these topics. But first, we should definitely set the mood because this whitish color is not the vibe. So if you guys remember, in the US I had a ring light, or maybe you didn't know that, but I had a ring light. And since coming to Korea, I could not bring that ring light with me, but for sit-down videos, I finally got a ring light, Natalia, speak correctly, and I upgraded. It does colors, so we're gonna pick a sleepover color. Are you ready? Okay, what color of the rainbow should we do? Okay, I'm looking in the viewfinder to figure out what sleepover color is perfect, but green is not it. Okay. Let's go with this color. This color is like a sleepover vibes color because if I didn't mention, it's currently 2:16 in the morning. Why did Natalia decide to film a video at 2:16 in the morning when she should be asleep? Only God knows. Because I don't. Anyway, a few days ago, I asked you guys to share some of your concerns, fears, questions relating these three major topics just to help guide me through the video. The first question you guys submitted was, has the COVID situation made you feel more homesick compared to your exchange year? No, actually. So if you've been here a while, I'm sorry you know this information already, but if you don't, or if you're newer here, then you might not know this, but in 2016, I studied abroad here at Suncheonhyang University, which is in Chungcheongnam-do. It's a completely different province. It's very far outside of Seoul. It's not even the same province. It's not even the province next to Seoul. It's not far, but far enough. Not countryside, but not city either. There was nothing to do there. Anyway, I spent a year there. And then I came to Korea twice in 2019 just on vacation. And then obviously I moved here 6 to 7 months ago, back in August of 2021. So yeah, not my first time here. And I think that was a major reason that I haven't felt any homesickness yet. I'm definitely gonna feel it at some point. But I have not had it, I've not felt it yet. And I don't know, my thoughts are, I've lived here before, so I already knew what to expect. I already knew what I was getting myself into before moving back. Two, I already have friends here, both fellow foreigners and Korean friends. And I speak a good amount of Korean. I just graduated from KU's Korean Language Center, so I finished level 6, topic 6 equivalent. I'm done. Would I say I'm actually truly topic 6? No, but I finished the program, okay? So like I speak a decent amount of Korean, so I'm able to explain myself in like various situations and talk about a lot of different topics. So I don't really, while I'm not fluent, I don't necessarily have too many issues expressing myself when I need to, if that makes sense. So I feel like all those things have made me not feel homesick yet, because I feel like a lot of homesickness stems from frustration, which, according to science, most people tend to feel homesickness in a new country around month 3 or 4, which is most definitely when I felt it as an exchange student, and my friends too, and all the girls that I lived with in the dorm back like my first semester here at KU. Month 3/4, guys. Expect it. It's fine. You'll get over it. You'll most definitely get over it. But it can hit you pretty hard. I feel like that's when the rose-colored glasses come off and you start to see all like the problems with your like host country. And they don't even have to be big problems. They can be like little minuscule problems, but when you're having a bad day and they just add up and add up and add up, you just miss home. To answer the question, no, COVID has not impacted like my homesickness at all here. Surprisingly. When it hits me, I'm telling you, the homesickness is gonna hit me maybe month 9, or maybe after a year it'll hit me, but so far it hasn't hit me. Okay, originally I kind of wanted to make these in categories like homesickness, loneliness, and then like family related stuff, but I think that's gonna be a little hard to do because I didn't plan ahead. So I think I'm just kind of gonna talk about these just based on like what question comes next. Is that okay? I hope so. I hope that's okay, because clearly I already did it by the time you're seeing it or seeing this video. Do you think about it often or not often because of your daily life and activities? So I assume that this is talking about homesickness, or maybe you're talking about loneliness. I'm not sure. But if we talk about it in the perspective of homesickness, like I said, no, I'm not homesick. Like, no. I mean, there are moments where I think of, damn, I miss America. Like there are definitely moments where I miss America and I'm like, oh, in America, it's so great. Like, but then there are other moments where I'm like, America, what's America? Like, I kid you not. And I'm not the only American that thinks this way either. Like, okay, a prime example of this is I was answering a Q&A question on Instagram. It was something about like, what do you miss about home or miss about the US or something? And as I was like scrolling through my camera roll to find like a background picture while I answer this question, I found like a picture of New York City that I took back in like 2019. And I remember I stared at the picture and I was just like, everyone in this picture speaks English, which may or may not have actually been true. So I was like, damn, it must be nice to just know what people are saying all the time. Because like I said, I speak a good amount of Korean, but I'm not fluent. So there are still lots of things I don't understand. And I kind of have to give myself a pep talk sometimes when I go into situations that I'm not familiar with. For example, going to the dermatologist. Like, can I do it? Yes. But the first time I went in there, I had to like study some like dermatology words that I knew I was going to need to use to talk about like my skin and my acne stuff, and to talk about my acne history with my doctor, because she doesn't know what my acne history is. Like, she doesn't have a folder, so I had to tell her, you know, verbally what kind of acne I have, what has worked in the past, what did not work in the past, like things like that. I couldn't just walk into the doctor's office like I would be able to in America or an English-speaking country and be like, okay, doc, here's what's up. Like, no, I had to like actually prepare to go in there, which is fine. Like, that's a great learning opportunity, but it's also like, you don't want everything to be a learning opportunity. You just want to go in and get your stuff done and leave, and you can't do that. Or at least I chose a doctor that doesn't speak English. So if I had found one that spoke English, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But no, Natalia was like, we're gonna have a learning opportunity. So I put myself in that situation. And if you were trying to ask about loneliness, like, do I think about being lonely? I want to say no, but I most definitely think about it more than being homesick. Which you think that those things would go like hand in hand, but they do not. At least for me, they don't. So I wouldn't say I feel lonely here, but at the same time, there are definitely instances where I'm reminded that, like, well, yes, I have a support system. I don't have the same support system I have back home, right? Like, back home, I have, like, my parents and my siblings and, like, my extended family. Like, my family is very large. My extended family is very large and very active in my life. So to have, like, that big network of, like, support, or, like, that really big, extensive support system, and then to come here and, like, well, yes, I can, like, depend on my friends. It's not the same. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same. So, for example, I had my graduation ceremony for the language center on Friday, which today is like Sunday night. So technically, no, the timeline is not the point. The point is, going to that graduation ceremony, well, it was like fun and I liked it and I appreciate the flowers that they gave me and my certificate and stuff. It really made me realize that I have no friends at KU. Like, I know that it probably looks like I have a lot of friends, or you would think that I have a lot of friends because I think a lot of you guys think that I'm extroverted and I'm not. I'm an introvert. But yeah, I don't have any friends at KU. Like, I realized that while at the ceremony. Like, I knew that, and like it's my fault because I don't try to make friends. Like, I'm that person that's kind of like, okay, like, I don't know. I'm not really interested in making that many friends because I have friends, but of course none of them go to KU. So just like an issue. Like, my only friend that I've had at KU is my, I guess, ex-roommate Riley, which she recently decided to move back home to the United States, which means I have no friends at KU. And like, guys, please don't like start messaging me being like, I'll be your friend at KU or something like that. That's not what I'm trying to like imply. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Please don't do that. That'll freak me out a little bit. Please don't do that. But I don't know. I'm like, it's my fault because I don't try to make friends. So when I was in the dorm, the girls that lived on my floor all ended up becoming pretty like good friends. Some of them are roommates now that we have to live off campus, or they decided to move into like the same apartment building so they could like still be close to each other and stuff like that. And I never really built that connection with any of the girls other than my roommate, which there were multiple reasons for that. Most of them being that like it was, for almost all the girls, it was like their first time being in Korea. And so they were very like, they had their rose colored glasses on, and I didn't want to be the party pooper, which I can be very negative, or not negative, realistic with things, especially since I've been here. Like, whenever one of the girls would be really excited about something and I knew that that's not how that works here, I didn't want to be the one to like break their heart. So I'd just be like, yeah. Like, if you've ever been here, you might know what I'm talking about, but like, there are certain things that people come here thinking are a certain way because they've watched a lot of K-dramas or they've read a lot about Korea. So they have certain expectations that just aren't true. And so I didn't want to be the one to break their hearts. Also, a lot of the girls in the dorm were a lot younger than me. I am 26 and a lot of them were 18. And while I don't mind hanging out with people that are younger than me, it was like just maturity levels just didn't match and stuff. So I have no regrets about like not creating stronger relationships with the girls in the dorm, but it also meant I didn't have a lot of friends. So anyway, going back to the ceremony, it made me realize like, wow, like I've only been here 2 semesters, so I don't really have a lot of friends, especially since my classes have been online for the winter semester. And I look around, right, and like everyone at the ceremony, or at least most of the people at the ceremony, had their like group of friends, right, because they came up 6 levels with these people. Like, obviously people will come and go, but they had very clear like friend groups, which is great for them. But like for me watching, I was like, Yeah. And then leaving the ceremony was also a graduation happening at KU. So you saw like a lot of families and lots of friend groups like taking pictures together. And then I was like standing there and I was like, I have no one to take pictures for me because I have no friends at KU. I feel like in that moment, like when I was on campus with all like the families walking around and all the big group of friends like celebrating their graduation and stuff, I was like, I kind of felt a little lonely. Like, not like, oh gosh, I need to go make friends. Like, not like that. That was not what I'm talking about. I don't know where I was going with that. You asked me what did you ask me? Do you think about it often? Honestly, no. Not really. I don't think about it often, but I think about it more often than homesickness, if that makes sense. I feel like I went on a tangent. Hopefully that tangent made sense with what you asked me. I'm really bad at Q&As, I apologize. So the next question is, does having friends help in not feeling lonely? Yes, most definitely. So when I was an exchange student, I actually never truly felt loneliness. Like, I think there was only one time that I remember as like, oh my gosh, I'm so lonely. But honestly, I don't even think it was loneliness. I think at the time I just didn't know what it was. Looking back, I think it was actually fear. I think it was like, it happened the month before I left Korea, and I think it was the fear of losing all the friends and like really important relationships that I had built while abroad. Like, I think it was the fear of losing that, and I think it was the fear of losing the community. I don't think it was the fear of I don't think it was like loneliness. I think it was the fear of losing those people. I think that's what it was. But because my school was so in the middle of nowhere, I've built really strong relationships with my fellow exchange students as well as the Korean students that were in my program, because we would go on trips together. Like, it was more than just taking classes together. It was more than just like the language exchanges that we had every week. It was like you had to hang out together because there was nothing in that dang city. In that city, which was Shinsang, there are very few places that you could actually eat a meal alone. Like, most of them were family sized, or they were like goki places, meaning they were meat places, and you have to at least have one other person with you in order to even order. So we were always eating together, or we would always order food to the dorm because you had to have like a minimum order size and stuff. And then when we wanted to travel outside of Xinjiang, which was literally every weekend, we would get enough friends to book out a whole room in a hostel because we didn't really want to like sleep with other people that we didn't know in the room. So we would book a room for like 4 or 6 people. And so we would all travel together. We were like, okay, we have to set a time to leave. We have to book our KTX tickets. We have to book the hostel. We have to decide where we're gonna go. And like all these things, like I feel like we really had to stick together more because we weren't in Seoul. And if you're like studying abroad in Seoul, or you have studied abroad in Seoul or a university in Seoul, and your experience was the same, like please share it in the comment section. But like from my perspective, I feel like if you're in Seoul, you don't really have to like stick with people as much because you can just get on the subway and go somewhere. Like for us, if we wanted to do anything fun, we had to leave, and usually it meant an overnight trip, which meant on an exchange student budget, you had to take someone with you. So it was like we built these really strong relationships. And so there were always people, and I've talked about this before, but when I was an exchange student, there were always people being like, hey, let's get lunch. Hey, let's get dinner. Hey, let's go to Seoul this weekend. Hey, let's go to Busan this weekend. Hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Hey, let's go get coffee. Like, it was great. Like, I had never felt so like supported by a friend group before in my life. Like, so I think that's why I never felt loneliness while an exchange student. Like, honestly, I feel like that was one of the happiest times of my whole life. Like, it was great, even though we were in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, so friends help. Make friends, she says, after saying that she purposely didn't make friends at KU, and then is like, why didn't I make friends at KU? But yeah, make some friends. Both Korean and foreign. I've talked about this before, but your Korean friends don't know what's going on with you as a foreign person. Like, they don't know what kind of struggles you have to go through. They don't know what visa processes are like. Like, they don't know. And it's not that they don't want to help you. It's just they don't know what you need help with. They don't know what you don't know, and they don't know how to help you most of the time. So make foreign friends too, okay? Please. Thank you. Okay, so the next question is a very serious question. It has to do with family death. So if you would like to skip this portion, please skip to this timestamp. I'll give you a few seconds. Okay, so the question is, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a fear. I don't know what I would do if someone were to die while I was gone. Honestly, I don't know either. This is actually something that I think about a lot that I don't really talk about. And especially now with the pandemic, like I'm always so anxious that something's gonna happen to my parents or to my siblings or to my extended family or my grandparents. And it's very scary because living abroad, you know, if you were to get a call today, like right now, for me, let's say, because I'm actually like in Korea, like if I were to get a call from my mom saying one of my grandparents is like not gonna make it through the night, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Like there's no way I can actually get there in time to say goodbye. Like, does that make sense? Oh my god, I'm gonna cry at this hypothetical situation. Like, it's just, like the flight time is automatically 15 hours or so to get to my home. And that doesn't even like take into like all the time it would take to like book a flight and get myself to the airport and going through immigration and like customs and everything on the other side. And like by the time I were to get there, if I left like the moment I get that call, like I'm not gonna make it. And that's like a very like scary thought. And like I think it's something that a lot of people don't even think about when they think of like coming abroad. Like what if something happens? Like, and I know that this is something that like long-term expats deal with in terms of like, you can't go home for every death, every funeral, every time someone like gets sick, or every wedding or childbirth. Like you miss a lot of family events when you live abroad because you can't go. Like even if it's not a money issue, like you don't have the time off from school or you don't have the time off from work. And now with the pandemic, like you have to quarantine. And I don't know what the current quarantine timeline is here in Korea. I think it's 10 days. It might even be less than 10 days now. I'm not really sure, but you still have to quarantine. And I mean, at least in the US, if I were to go home, we don't have that. So I don't have to quarantine. But like, if I went to a country where I did have to quarantine, like you're stuck there. Like it's not possible to go home for everything, even if you wanted to. Even without the pandemic, it's not possible. So yeah, I feel you. So the next question is, was it harder leaving your family after living with them again, or was that comforting? And I assume the comforting you mean like, was it comforting living with my family before like coming to Korea? So I guess if you don't know my timeline, I went to university where I lived apart from my family. And then I graduated university, right? And then I went to work in Dallas, which is not where my family lives. So I lived apart from my family for 6.5 years. Yeah, 6.5 years. And then in March, like late February, early March of 2020, I decided to move home to save money for grad school. Like it had nothing to do with the pandemic. That was like, I made that decision before we even knew what was happening. And I was like, I want to move to Korea for grad school, and that means I need to save money. And I had done the math, and I determined that if I moved home, I would save over $8,000 in rent, like just rent. So I moved home. So, where I still had to pay rent. Mom and dad, come on. They made me pay rent, but it was significantly less. So I was able to save a lot of money to move here and like prepare to go to grad school and all that. Honestly, I wouldn't say it made anything harder leaving, and I wouldn't say it was comforting either. my parents might be like, "Excuse me," when they watch this video, but I don't want to say it made it harder because I don't really have a hard time leaving my family usually because I'm used to living apart from them. And then in terms of it being comforting, I guess so. I don't know. I really don't have an answer for that. I was actually kind of relieved to get out of the house because I was used to living alone for so long that it was kind of like, I'm back under my parents' roof. Gotta follow their rules again. And I'm not used to that anymore. So it was actually kind of nice to leave. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. How do you handle loneliness? As it's something I'm afraid of when moving out. I think when I'm feeling lonely, I really have to determine what I need. So sometimes when I feel lonely, I just want to be alone, which makes no sense, but it's true. Sometimes I just want to be alone when I feel lonely. Like yesterday, the day of the ceremony, I didn't really want to hang out. Like I said, I had that like, oh my God, like I'm basically alone at KU. Like in terms of friends, like I don't really have friends, which I'm so glad to say that one of my friends recently got into grad school here at KU, and so I hopefully will be seeing him a lot. He is my friend Jihoon, and he got me this mong. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, okay. Look at this cute little mong. This is off topic, but look at this. My friend Jihoon got me this for Christmas. He's one of my friends that I made while an exchange student. He was like one of my language exchanges my first semester. I think it was my first semester. Honestly, I don't really remember. So we've been friends for like 5 or 6 years, and he just got into grad school here. So he's moved here, and I'm like, Jihoon, I'm gonna call you a lot. We're gonna hang out a lot. I'm ready. But anyway, yeah, this is my Christmas mong that Jihoon got me for Christmas. Anyway, okay, that was not in the question. What did you ask me again? How do I deal with loneliness? So yeah, I have to determine, do I want to be alone? Like, do I just want to go have some ice cream? Which I did yesterday. I got some like Baskin Robbins ice cream, ate it alone, came home and took a nap. But there's also times where I'm feeling loneliness or I feel lonely, and I determine that like I just need to hang out with somebody, and then it goes away. Because I don't know, for me it's not like a prolonged thing. It's like I don't want to say an instant, because it's most definitely longer than an instant, but it's just like a few hours, maybe. I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, usually if I call up a friend and we go to a cafe, or we just have dinner together, or we even just making plans with a friend for the next day, will make it go away. I mean, and sometimes I just call my family. It's like, hello, I have nothing to say. Okay, bye. Like that helps me a lot too, just calling my family. The next question is more about being apart from your family rather than like loneliness and homesickness. So the exact question was, how did you build up independence, like setting up really important things by yourself without the direct support of your family and friends and etc.? Practice. Honestly, just practice. So I think something that people don't talk about a lot when it comes to moving abroad is you have to be very independent, and you have to take initiative in things. Like you can't expect the university to hold your hand with anything. So something that I've kind of touched on a few times in my vlogs is that like KU, they don't hold your hand with anything. Like, and honestly, I wish that they did in a lot of instances, but they're like the bank. They did not help us with the bank at all. You had to go in there and figure it all out yourself. And like I've mentioned before, the bank here on like KU's campus, they don't speak English. Like they speak English to where they can say, fill out this, sign here, make a password that has 4 digits. Like they have like set phrases they know, but they don't speak the English that is needed to explain your bank account to you or to answer your questions. Does that make sense? Like there was one day they had actual English speakers in the bank, and that was the day they had the exchange students making their accounts, which might I mention, the exchange students came in by themselves too. Like, I don't know if maybe this is because of COVID that there wasn't like a big group like bank accounts making day or what, but they were coming in by themselves too. So yeah, KU does not help you with a lot of things. They don't help with a bank account. They don't help you with visa extensions. They don't help you find accommodations after, like, when you need to move out the dorm. It's up to you to find that. Like, they don't help you. So like, a lot of the things here, you have to do it yourself. Like, when I moved, I had to tell the immigration office that I moved, which you have to do within 14 days of moving. And KU didn't tell me that. And luckily, like, so the other girls from the dorm are also needing to figure that out, so we kind of were able to just share information with each other. But obviously this could just be a KU thing, but I don't think it is, because I've talked to my friends that go to other universities and they say the same thing. Like, the universities, they don't really help you. And it's kind of sad, because I know when I was an exchange student, they held our hands for everything. And I don't know if maybe it's because we were in the countryside, where like, or maybe it was because it was before COVID or what, I don't know. But like, they would go and help us with everything. They took us to the immigration office to set up our ARC cards. They went with us to like set up our bank accounts. They like did all this stuff for us or with us. But KU was like, figure it out. Like, here you go, send us off into the wild. Like, the thing that they helped us the most with, honestly, was the ARC, which they didn't even actually really like help us with. Like, they posted something online saying like, submit your documents virtually to this website, and then we will send your like application, and then we will get it for you, and we will give you the like the ARC at school. Which, like, if you go in there and ask them for help, like, sometimes they will, like, if they know the answer, they'll give you the information, but they're not going to set up like stuff for you. Like, you have to do it yourself. So with this, like, being independent and doing things on your own without like support, you just have to do it. Like, I wish I could say like, yeah, there are people that will help you and stuff, which, I mean, there are. Like, you should most definitely find foreign friends that have already done what you're doing, or a semester ahead of you or whatever, because they can give you information like that. Like, my friend Maddie has helped me a lot with like my visa stuff. My friend Adri has helped me a lot. Like, all my friends that have been here longer than I have helped me like figure out this, or told me that I also need to keep an eye out for XYZ and stuff. And I'm very, very thankful for them. Like, I'm very thankful that they can share that kind of information with me. But like, if I didn't have them, like, I would have to figure this out by myself. So if you're going to move here for any reason, just know that you're going to be put into situations where you might not be comfortable doing things by yourself, but you're going to have to do them anyway. And if you get them wrong, that's okay, but you're going to have to go find a way to do them. Whether that's you go and ask the school for help and hopefully they can help you. You find someone who's done it before and they can help you. You look online. Like, yeah. Okay, so the next question is your circle/community more restricted in Korea? I'm not too sure what you mean by that. I assume that means like, do you have fewer friends? No. Okay, that sounds weird because I said I don't have friends at KU, but actually the majority of my friends like in the world, or most of them, are like in Korea, because I didn't have a lot of friends in university either. I had like my set group of friends and that's it. So I actually have way more friends here in Korea than I have in the US, which sounds really weird, but it's true. So no, I wouldn't say it's more restricted at all. And then you asked about xenophobia, but I don't really want to touch on that in this video, so I'm gonna skip that. We can talk about that in a different video, because this video is already getting long. I can feel it. Do you stay in contact with your family? Like, do you call each other or text? So yes, of course. So I'm actually not the best at keeping contact with people. Like, I will get in trouble with my family for not contacting them. But yes, I stay in contact with my family. We don't really text because we're just not texters, but we do call. When I'm not super like stressed out with school or in YouTube and like just personal stuff, I would say I talk to my family probably every week. Like, yeah, every week. And then if I'm like really stressed out with like, let's say midterms or finals or like some big project or something, then it'll be every other week, because when I call my family, usually it's like a 2 to 3 hour long conversation on the phone. So yeah, when I'm really stressed, I'm like, I don't have 3 hours to talk about like nothing with my parents. But yeah, so we tend to use like FaceTime audio. So I just call their American numbers through FaceTime, which means like it's using Wi-Fi instead of like the cellular plan. But I also set up all my family members with a Kakao Talk account, so we have a group chat in there. We don't really use it, but it's like another form of contact if we need it, if that makes sense. How do you deal with the time difference and still being able to talk to your family? So I am from Texas, which is where my family is. So that means I either talk to them late at night so that it's their morning, or I talk to them in the morning so that it's their evening. So since my parents both work, if I want to talk to them, I just have to be considerate of like what day of the week it is if I want to talk to them in the morning, or like just like the timing in general. How did you make friends outside of university? Okay, this is a question I can help with because like I said, I have no friends at KU. They're all outside of KU, which I'm surprised that no one has asked me this question before, because maybe you guys just didn't know that none of my friends are from KU. So honestly, okay, so I have my friends that are from study abroad, right? So like my Korean friends, they're almost all from like studying abroad here in 2016, which ironically I never film with them. I should film with them. I'm a film with them. You'll meet more of them. I think you've only met Surin and Kurin before. I mean, okay, you've met some other friends. Like back in 2019, I vlogged with almost all of them. But since moving here, since I don't see them that often, I don't want to vlog with them because I want to be greedy and I want to be the only one that spends time with them. That sounds, okay, that's not the actual reason. It's just, you know, I want to spend my time with them instead of like filming things. But anyway, so I have my Korean friends that are from exchange. And then I have my friends from university that are living in Korea. So you guys have met Sabrina on multiple occasions. I don't know if you saw the vlog where I actually talked about how we know each other, but we went to the same university in Texas. We both went to Texas A&M University, and we were both part of the Korean Media Association there. So we were both in the same like club. So while we weren't like super great friends in the United States, like we knew each other, we hung out a few times. Like Sabrina like came to my birthday party one year. And yeah, like you could say we're friends from the US. And we have a few other friends here that are teaching English that have just never been in a video. So I have like my Texas A&M friends, if you will. And then I have my internet friends. So you guys have seen Audrey before, right? Obviously. She's an internet friend. Basically, I have a lot of friends that I've met through Studygram. So there are people that I have just like connected well with, or they are at like a similar Korean language level. So I followed them and we just naturally became internet friends. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like we just, yeah. Julia, you saw her in 2 videos. Yeah, she's an internet friend that I'd have had for like 2 or 3 years before we met in person here in Korea. And honestly, like all the YouTubers that I'm friends with, we were like clearly like internet friends first. Yeah, I don't know. Instagram is actually where I met, I think, most of my friends here that aren't Korean. But I think that's also just because I'm an influencer. I hate that word. Like a YouTube internet personality person, so it's not weird for me to connect with other people online. If you are wanting to make friends outside of your university, I highly encourage you to look at volunteer opportunities. So even with COVID, there are a lot of volunteer opportunities that you can take part of. I would just like look them up online. So you don't have to speak Korean to be part of a lot of volunteer opportunities. Like obviously there are opportunities you can't participate in if you don't speak Korean, but there are also a lot that just need you to be able to speak English, and they're good. That's Gucci. So you can take part in those and meet other people. There are also like meetup types of organizations. If you look for language exchange opportunities here, there are those. You can try and meet people online like I did. Please be safe. But like the Studygram community is a pretty good bet. I mean, don't just start like DMing people awkwardly or scary or creepily, like, please. But yeah, there are ways to make friends outside of your university if you can just find the right like avenues to do it. Okay, so the camera battery died, so we're gonna start from the last question I was trying to answer. So like I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, is this fear that was shared doesn't really fit under any of the categories, but at the same time, I feel like it can kind of lend itself to homesickness and just being away from your family. So the fear that was shared is not being able to get back home due to COVID or get back into Korea. And this is a valid concern that you have because right now Korea, I'm pretty sure the majority of the visas they're giving out right now are single entry visas, meaning you can come into the country, great, but as soon as you try to leave, they will cancel your visa, one, and they will take your ARC at the airport, which means while you might be able to re-enter the country as a tourist, anything that was linked to your ARC is now no good. No good, because your ARC was canceled. So your bank account, your phone plan, potentially, your like vaccination stuff, your housing. I don't even know how that would affect your housing. Like it'd be a hot mess. So if you're ever wanting to leave the country, like I said, you can leave whenever you want to leave if you're okay with your visa getting canceled and your ARC. If you don't want that to happen, you need to apply for a re-entry permit, which you can just like put into Google, put like re-entry permit Korea, and then the immigration site will come up with the application. You fill that out, submit it, and assuming they accept it, you can leave the country and re-enter it without like your visa getting canceled and stuff like that. So in the case of an emergency, like a medical emergency with a family member, that will be probably difficult to get immediately because I think it takes a while for them to actually process it and then give it to you, assuming they do grant it. But if it's not urgent, then that you can do that. Yeah, I just wanted to share that information because I completely understand why that is a fear that you have. Oh gosh, my voice is getting dry. My throat is getting dry because I've been talking too much. How do you maintain your friendships from the US? I would miss my best friend so much. Like I mentioned earlier, the majority of my friends are actually here in Korea. There's only a few friends that are like in the US. As I kind of mentioned, I'm kind of bad with keeping in touch with people. So I guess like, I feel like my friends and I were just at the age where we know that no contact doesn't mean that we're not friends. That makes sense. Like, if you've been following my channel for a while, you might remember my friend Kathy. I would say my friend Kathy is like my best friend, or at least one of my best friends. And like, I probably only talk to her like once a month, once every other month. Yeah, like a meaningful conversation, not like we sent each other a meme or something, like an actual conversation. And I don't know, we don't have any issues with our like friendship or anything. Like whenever we talk, we're like, oh my god, because that's how we talk to each other. We're like, ah! And we just like, I don't want to say we pick up where we left off, but like it doesn't seem like any time has passed when you talk to each other. And honestly, with your best friend, like, yeah, you will probably miss them. Like I miss my friends, but like I don't think there's anything I don't think you need to worry about maintaining your friendship is what I'm trying to get at. I think it'll be fine. Okay, so the next question doesn't exactly fit any of the three categories exactly, but at the same time I feel like it has to do with being away from your family because you're living alone. So the question is, how do you deal with the fear of someone breaking into your house or ghosts? I'm a little paranoid. Actually, I understand this fear a lot. Like when I lived in Dallas, I lived alone, and I never showed you guys my full apartment because I'm not a fan of showing my apartment when I live in the apartment. I just don't like doing that. So yeah, that's why there's no apartment tour of this apartment, because I don't think it's safe to put your apartment online. Anyway, so I never showed you guys how big my Dallas apartment was, but it was quite large. Several rooms, and I lived there alone. Like I think it was almost 700 square feet. I think it was 695 square feet. Like it was a pretty big apartment. And I lived there alone as a 23-year-old, I'm pretty sure. Was I 23? I think I was 23. Anyway, the age is not important. And I remember one time I actually did think someone broke into my house, and it was very scary. No one did. but I thought someone did. So I understand, but here in Korea, one, the apartments are rather small, so you will know immediately if someone is in your house, or at least based on what I assume your budget will be as a student, or even as a teacher, most likely your apartment will be so small or small enough to where you will immediately know if someone is in your house or if someone has been in your house. Korean apartments are pretty safe in that most of them you have several like levels of security. So this depends on the budget and the type of apartment it is. Like if it's an apartment or a villa, but if it's an apartment, you have to first get in through the entry, which is a keypad or a entry code of some sort. So you have to get through that, which will get you into the lobby. And then if you have like a more expensive apartment, there will actually be a security guard in the lobby who kind of like knows the residents. So there's that. So there's the entry code into the lobby with the security guard who may or may not talk to you. It depends on the security guard. And then when you take the elevator up to a certain floor, you have to key into that floor. So you'll step off the elevator and usually there's like a little entry, I guess you could say, where you then have to tap into the hallway, which is where the apartments are. And then once you get into the hallway, you have to tap into the room or like punch in the little key, like door code to get into the actual apartment. So if you're living in a more expensive apartment, you'll have potentially 4 levels of security to get into your room that someone would have to get through. And I don't know, I feel like that's pretty safe. Also, there's CCTV everywhere. Literally everywhere. If something happened, like someone's gonna know. And then if you live in a less expensive apartment, there will still be security. I think the least secure housing that I've ever seen is like a Goshiwon, which has 2 levels of security, which is the entry. So you have to tap in to get into the building or the floor that like the Goshiwon is on. And then you have to tap or use the key code to get into the actual like room or apartment. So it's pretty safe. And I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying it's very unlikely. Like someone's not gonna be breaking in through your window or something. But I would also like to suggest that you do not get an apartment that is in the basement. Safety, just don't do that. Don't get one that's half underground because it has the window on the ground level, and then don't get a ground level apartment just for safety reasons, especially if you're paranoid about someone getting into your apartment. Just don't do that. Do like 3rd floor and up. Preferably get an apartment where there's a security guard or that has several layers of security, which you can see when you go with a realtor around the apartments. Like they'll show you the level of security so you can see that before like choosing an apartment. And again, guys, if you have anything that you would like to share about these topics, please share them in the comment section. And if you're going to talk about any of your experiences here in Korea, also please put the year that you were here studying or living here, because things change very, very quickly, as I have learned from when I was an exchange student just like 5 years ago. So yes. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. 다음에 봐요, guys. Bye.